Now, old school RuneScape has a massive library of training methods in the game. That said, over the years, the best methods bubble to the top, and that's essentially what most people end up doing. Whatever training method ends up being the meta or the best experience usually becomes the most popular and the most well-known. That said, I think there are quite a lot of underrated training methods in the game, either because they provide something that's not the best experience but better in other ways, or I think are just really underutilized. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, if you do, always appreciate a like on it. It really does help my video get out there. Recommend it to other people, helps a ton. Anyway, let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to start off with my favorite thieving training method in the game, at least at the lower levels, and that is the Summer Sorceress's Garden. To do this, you only need 65 thieving, and at that level, it is very competitive with other training methods, and way more AFK than any other thieving method in the entire game. One of my favorite methods. To do this, you simply need around 3 stamina potions, a pestle and mortar, and pretty well a full inventory of beer glasses, although you will need a few empty spots as well. Now, to unlock the Sorceress's Garden, you need to talk to Osmin, which is just north of the Alkrid Castle. Once you've done talking to him, you can run down to the transportation icon, talk to the apprentice, and from here, once you've gone through the dialogue options, you can teleport to the Sorceress's Garden. Now, I have talked about this method before, but thanks to a very ingenious RuneLite plugin, this is way easier than ever before. Now, the Summer Garden is the one located to the north. Normally, you'd have to run through here very particularly, dodging out on these summer elementals, and eventually make it to the center, where we can pick from the squirk tree to gain some thieving experience. Normally, that's very annoying to do, but if we come over here to the plugin hub and look up the Summer Garden, there is a one-click Summer Garden plugin, which is incredibly helpful. So once we've installed it, we can come over here to the configuration, make sure it's turned on, and now we're pretty much ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and enter the garden here. And from here, you want to mark the tile just a bit west of this flower here, and that's the one you're going to want to stand on. So from here, we can have a look at what the plugin is doing. There's a bunch of the summer elementals running around. Normally, you'd have to dodge that, but there is a very particular timing that allows you to run through in one click. Now, essentially, we want all of these numbers to be 0, and those will go down when they catch us. So pretty much everything is set up except for this one elemental in the middle here. Now, the plugin also indicates exactly when we have to run. What it's going to do is this green box here is going to turn blue, and when it does, we're going to click on this summer squirk tree as it is running away from us. So it turned blue here, it's going to run past us, and as it's running away and it lines up with the other blue box, we're going to click on the summer tree. We should make it through all of these here, although I think this elemental is going to catch us. Okay, so it caught us, we get booted out, that's fine, but now you can see it turned to a 0. So that one is set up, although it seems to have desynced this one up here, so we're gonna have to do it again. Okay, so it turned blue, and as it runs away and lines up with the other square, we're gonna click again. Kind of looks funny, we're just juking and jiving through everyone. Okay, so yeah, we got caught. We got reset, but now it should be down to a 1, perfect. So we probably were gonna get caught one final time here. Yes, there it is. But now everything should be set up, and you'll notice that every single elemental is 0 on it, which means this method is fully primed and the world is set. So now we're going to do it one more time, turn blue. As it's running away, we're going to click, and we should run through the entire garden without getting trapped once. And there we go, we ran through the entire thing, we grab some squirk juice, and we teleport out. So from here we can run right back out here, wait for it to run back again, click again, and we get another 30 or 35 seconds of AFK time. This method is great because it is probably the most AFK thieving method in the game, and it can get you up to 130,000, even 140,000 experience per hour, which is so good for its level. Once you got 2 of them, you can use the pestle and mortar on the squirk juice, and you will turn it into a beer glass. It just kind of saves you on inventory spaces. Now, you might be thinking that you haven't gotten any thieving experience yet. That is true. To actually claim the thieving experience, you have to go talk to Osmin, and he will give you a bit for every squirk you have in your inventory. Keeping in mind that you can turn these in noted. So truly, this is just an amazing method. Highly recommend doing it, and the plugin makes it dead easy. Now, coming up next year, we have a very strong fishing and hunter training method, and that will be drift net fishing. Now you can start doing this at 4447 fishing, so pretty low level, and it provides a very competitive way to train both the skills at the same time. Once you get up to 70 in both of the skills, you can get up to around 85,000 experience per hour in fishing and 110,000 experience per hour in hunter at the same time. So almost 200,000 experience combined per hour, which is incredibly good. Now to do this effectively, you need this absolutely beautiful gear setup. Really you just need a trident of any kind. A regular trident works, or a merfolk trident you can buy if you have a lower magic level. You'll need a fishbowl helmet, the diving apparatus, and kind of importantly, you'll also need the flippers. Otherwise you're gonna have to walk around like a chump. For your inventory, you're gonna bring a few stamina potions, numulite, and drift nets. Now this place is located underwater on Fossil Islands, so you have to go up to the northern part of the island and dive down. Now to enter this area, you can't have anything equipped in your weapon slot, but once you've entered, you can go ahead and equip your trident and carry on. Now this looks a little overwhelming to begin with, but actually it's super easy. Essentially just click on each of the fish. You're not really corralling them, you just have to click on them and that will invigorate them in the proper direction. So there are 2 drift nets you have to set up, and they can hold 10 fish at a time before they get full. So the gameplay loop here is very simple. Click on fish until your drift nets get full. Once they're full, you empty them, which you can do right into your bank, and then you set up a new drift net. A couple things to keep in mind is you can pay 20,000 numulite to unlock this as a permanent feature. You'll no longer have to pay numulite to bank your fish, which is nice because there is a dialog box here. You're also able to store excess nets with a net, so you can withdraw those whenever you run out. A great method, somewhat click intensive, so I never ended up doing it. But in the mid levels, this is actually a very powerful and quick way to level up both of the skills. Probably one of my favorite mid to late game thieving methods is stealing from Dorgish Con rich chests. These things are amazing because they offer, once again, kind of AFK thieving experience. I mean, lower intensity, I would say, more so. And is pretty competitive all the way to 99. You can start thieving these things at 78 thieving. They're completely brain dead, they require no skill to do, unlike blackjacking, which has a little bit of a learning curve. Now the Dorgish Con rich chests are located in a few different spots, but I like to go to the northwest location because it's actually fairly close to a bank. You go up the staircase and into this little hut here. Now the only thing in your inventory that you're going to want to have is a lockpick. Although if you do have access to a gem bag, that is also incredibly helpful because you'll get a lot of gems from the chest, and that will really cut down on banking. Now the method is very simple. You simply lockpick the 2 chests on each world, and then hop to another one. You'll have to hop probably 12 to 15 worlds before the original ones respawn, as they take 5 minutes to respawn. That said, this method can get you over 200,000 experience per hour in thieving, while also earning yourself a bit of money as well, assuming you bank. Personally, this is going to be my preferred way to get 99 thieving. The only reason I might not do it all the way to 99 is to make a bit of money. But if all I was caring about was the 99 cape, I would 100% do this method all the way. Now there's actually a few training methods on the Arceus spellbook that I think are very underrated. Now this one is actually fairly high level, but offers a really good way to train both magic and prayer at the same time, and that is Demonic Offering. Now you can also use Sinister Offering, but I personally think Demonic Offering is a bit more cost effective, at least now. Essentially what it does is it will convert ashes in your inventory into large amounts of prayer experience. Now because there isn't really demand for these ashes beyond this spell, it ends up being fairly cost effective. For example, here we have Abyssal Ashes. Currently the GP XP for these are around 8, which is pretty comparable to Dragon Bones. Now the XP per hour is less for prayer, but you're also getting around 100k per hour in magic, which I think is very valuable. Not to mention, while the potential prayer experience is higher with a Gilded Altar, that will require you to click a lot more often, as you essentially need to 1-tick or 2-tick each bones onto the altar, which is quite a bit more high effort than just clicking once and waiting about 5 seconds. It's even conveniently grayed out now until you can cast it again, which makes it a lot easier to visually know how long you have to wait. Now for this, I'd also recommend possibly getting the Inventory Viewer plugin. Very handy, you can just see your inventory in the right while being on the spellbook, which makes this incredibly AFK. Now, assuming that you're using a rune pouch, you should be able to cast this exactly 9 times, after which you're going to go ahead and bank, withdraw more ashes, and continue on. Personally, I think it's actually pretty AFK for prayer. It doesn't require you to leave the Grand Exchange at all. It, however, does require you to have 84 magic for Demonic Offering and a Kingdom Divided complete. So if you're looking for a good alternative prayer training method, I would recommend trying out Demonic Offering. Now, while we're in the area, another one of my favorite training methods on the Arceus spellbook is DGrime. It's a really interesting combination training method between magic and herblore. Now, I think this is probably one of the only profitable ways to train herblore in the game, but it comes at the cost of being very click intensive. Now, for this method, you need 70 magic and access to the Arceus spellbook. Now, this method is very simple, but somewhat click intensive. So for example, we're buying some grimy dwarf weeds off the Grand Exchange. We're buying them for 889 each. So simply all we have to do is withdraw grimy dwarf weeds, exit, cast the DGrime spell. It has quite a long cast animation, which is nice, which slows us down a little bit. Once it's cast, we'll go ahead and deposit, withdraw, cast again. Now, compared to conventional herblore training methods, this is kind of slow, but it is usually profitable and will net you around 50,000 experience per hour in magic, as well as a varying amount of herblore experience. With dwarf weeds, for example, I'm going to be getting a bit over 100k per hour in herblore. So lower level your herbs, the less likely you are to profit and the less experience you're going to get per hour. But you can pretty easily start doing this at level 60 and start profiting and getting decent herblore experience and a bit of magic experience along the way. So if you're looking for a cheaper way to train both of these skills, this is a pretty decent option. The one thing you do have to keep in mind though is obtaining these herbs can take a while, and you go through them very quickly because you can do a full inventory in one cast. Now, one training method that was added years ago and almost immediately forgotten is underwater agility and thieving. Now, by no means is this the meta way to train either of these, but if you're looking for a kind of different and interesting way to train both at once, this is actually a pretty interesting option. This training method actually isn't that bad because once you get used to it, and at higher levels you can get around 35k agility experience per hour while also getting around 130 to 140k thieving experience. This does scale with your level though, so at lower levels you're going to get much less, but it's also a very flexible training method because you can also just simply train agility or thieving independently. If you do it that way, you can get up to about 200k per hour in simply thieving and around 55k or something in agility. Now this method does take a little while to get the hang of. The bare bones idea is you have to swim around this underground agility course. There's obstacles, there are currents you have to dodge, and all the time you're running out of oxygen. The goal is to simply find an open clam or treasure chest and loot it for mermaid's tears. After a set amount of time, the chest or clam will close and a new location will open up, and you gotta make your way over there. And the area is actually quite large, but there are quick travel locations, they can see the map here, that will help speed up your travel. Now the requirements for this method are pretty low. You simply need access to Fossil Island, so you need to do Bon Voyage. That said, I would highly recommend having a flippers, otherwise you're going to have to walk everywhere underwater, which is going to really drastically reduce your experience. I would also recommend bringing stamina potions if you can. Now, although this method can seem a bit annoying at first, you do get the hang of it pretty quickly. So if you're looking for an interesting way to train both these skills at once, I would give underwater agility and thieving a try. Might not be for everyone, but I think it's certainly underrated. Now, next up here we have what I think is a pretty underrated magic training method, and that would be the Plank Make spell. It isn't unlocked until higher levels, but when you think about it, 86 to 99 is still a significant amount of experience. You still have like 2/3 of the way to go, so it's still a significant amount of time that you could be spent AFKing with this training method. Now, Plank Make is unlocked via the Lunar Spellbook and is extremely simple to use. All you will need is the runes for the spell. I have them in a rune pouch, although that's really not necessary. You're going to want to have an earth staff equipped and some money in your inventory. From here you need to withdraw some mahogany logs. And finally here, definitely turn your volume off or you are going to hate your life because the sound effect is atrocious. I have no idea why it's like that. But please do yourself a favor and turn your volume off. From here, it's so simple. You simply just have to use the Plank Make spell on a plank and it will automatically go through your entire inventory, giving you 90 experience per plank made. And the best part here is you are actually going to be making money with this method, which is amazing. Currently, you're getting close to 200 GP profit per plank, which is a moderate amount, but it's magic training and you are profiting. That is always a great thing. Keep in mind that every time you cast a spell, it's also going to take a bit of your money, but as you are profiting anyway, it really doesn't matter. You can do this indefinitely. Now, this magic training method will get you around 90,000 experience per hour in magic while making a bit of money and being incredibly AFK It takes over a minute to make an inventory. So if you're looking for something super chill to do and make a bit of money and train your magic, I would highly recommend the plank make spell. Now obviously this is not really competitive from a experience per hour standpoint, but because it's so chill, I think it's actually a top tier method and one you should definitely try out. So anyway guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it as always. Now there are obviously tons of honorable mentions I could put on here. If I missed any, let me know what your favorite lesser used training methods are and maybe we'll make a follow-up sometime. Thanks for watching guys, and I will see you next time. Now before I go here, I want to give a huge thank you to all of my members over on YouTube. Thank you so much to Cesarium OSRS, The Hybrid, Alejandra, Sejuani's Flail, and Kush Patel for all being subscribed at the Dragon tier. Thank you guys so much, really appreciate it. Also a giant thank you to Ryan Shady, Mexos, Base Titch, NDM001, and YoYoSub89 for all subscribing at the Runite tier. Really means a lot. As always, if you are looking for another way to support the channel, becoming a YouTube member is a great way to support me directly. You will be immortalized in all of my future videos, get access to a custom role in my Discord server, and my video release schedule. Thanks again guys, and I will see you next time.